All right, folks, it's another edition of the radio show with Marc Lee. And of course, I'm your host on this particular afternoon. Get ready to give you all some great conversation with some amazing folks, including some folks that I am looking forward to talking to, including Nubian Red, who is definitely a great performer, as well as somebody involved in the fashion industry and a number of other industries around there in Jamaica. And I've got my buddy Fraser from London that'll be joining us as well. So I'm going to bring them in. Of course, we've got a lot of things that are going on in the world. A lot of things are happening. Of course, folks are very much glad that here in the U.S. that stimulus package has been passed. It looks like there might be a check coming at some point or another, but I'm still not holding my breath that I'm going to be received anytime soon, because we know that there is oftentimes bureaucratic red tape and other things that happen, unfortunately. So we'll find out what goes on in that regards. But definitely, I know a lot of folks are going to be paying close attention to that. Of course, folks are still trying to figure out what's going on with the vaccine and things along that line. And of course, people are just concerned about day-to-day existence, because a lot of folks are finding it hard to survive in this day and time that we are living in. Of course, we are facing things like the pandemic. We are facing things like race relations and a number of other things that are going on around the world. So definitely looking forward to having some great conversations about all of this with my guests and everything. So definitely looking forward to having some amazing conversations and all of that. So I'm going to bring in first really quickly my buddy Fraser, and then I'm going to bring in Nubian Red as well, but I'm going to bring in Fraser from London and everything. So get ready to bring him into the conversation and see what he's got going on over there in his area of the world as well. So he's over there in Europe. So Fraser, tell folks what you got going on. I know earlier we were talking and you were watching the game. So you were over there checking out the game and letting folks know what was happening in football, as y'all like to call it. It's soccer over here. So definitely tell folks about the game and what you're doing over in your life right now.
I'd say not very much at the moment, not through choice. But no, I'm just watching the football. It's Premiership, just Chelsea, just on Amazon Prime. It's because it's during the week games. They're showing games of football, soccer, which is not too bad. But yeah, so just what's been going on in my life? Well, it's probably not as much as I'd like to be honest with you. I'd love to be able to say there's lots going on, but there really is not actually that much happening at the moment, which is quite dull and boring. But over in Scotland here, we're on a tier 4 lockdown, so even though the cases of COVID are not that bad, we are the mainland Scotland has been locked down, so due to the new variant. So the aim is to try and curb that. But so it'll be reviewed a week on Saturday. So that'll be around about the 9th. It'll be reviewed. Whether it will stay 3 weeks or longer, we don't know. Wow. But everything's closed. All the shops, just literally takeaway only. So Edinburgh is like a ghost town at the moment where I stay. It's just really is pretty dire. It's just encouraging people to stay at home so they can try and curb, not let the new variant take hold in any way. But yeah, it's kind of limited to what you can and can't do. I've got some work on, apart from just doing work and really just trying to. I'm going to utilise this next couple of days to really get my head around this radio station that I've been setting up, because I've sort of I had to sort of switch off because it was stressing me out a little bit. So, and I am back doing it myself, and I could do it with a hand actually. So kind of, it's one of those kind of things that you kind of like, I'll see what I can do, and I may need to just either get some help somewhere or bring people in, or don't know, but that's pretty much what I'm doing at the moment. But if I remember correctly, you're trying to start up your own radio station over there in Scotland and everything. I know we talked about that some time back and everything. So you're trying to get that radio station going, but you were also involved in like a cleaning business, if I remember correctly. Yes. But I know that's definitely got to be very much impacted by what's going on with COVID and the pandemic, and it's probably really impacted your regular business. Totally been hit. I have taken a major hit in work due to the offices not being fully functional. A lot of my clients, and it's because they're not in the office, there's not very much cleaning to do. So it's been a hit majorly. So I've got what work I have as a bonus. So it's not a bad thing. So I'm not complaining. I've got some work, so which is pretty good. At least I'm not completely stuck, which is a good thing. So, but it has had a major impact, yes.
Well, definitely a lot of things going on, and I did want to bring in Nubian Red because she's actually doing a fundraiser for a friend of hers that's going through some activities in terms of I think that he's facing some major surgeries, and then she is also a musician as well as a fashion designer and a lot of other things as well. So I did want to bring Nubian Red. This is actually a very international show because we've got you representing Scotland and we've got Nubian Red representing the fine area of Jamaica because she's over there in Kingston, Jamaica, if I remember correctly, and everything along those lines. So how are you doing, Nubian Red? If you can tell folks a little bit about your music career and your fashion career and about this very special event that you have coming up on December 31st. I think it's coming up on New Year's Eve.
Yes, it is. I'm good, Mark. Thanks for having me. Hi, Fraser. A lot is going on and a lot is standing still at the same time. So I'm thankful. I'm thankful because the last time when we spoke, I was supposed to be on tour. A lot has happened. I didn't get to go on tour, but I did release a song. That's the third song, Freight Train. I released it last year. I was going to release some more music this year, but the pandemic just changed a lot of things for us. So we had to kind of fall back. Some of the things were like video production that we do here in Jamaica had to come to basically a standstill. So we have to be finding alternatives. You spoke about my fashion. It's not all the way out yet, but I'm doing graphic designs for my tees. They're out. There's T-shirt on there for men and women, clothing for kids. It's just making your own statement while we just give you the voice by putting the words. Sometimes people just can't think of at the same time. So we just put the words together in a very fashionable and telling way for persons to choose from. Yes, because we have varying teas with varying messaging on it. And as you know, my music and my brand is about a philosophy, and the philosophy is always about love and enlightenment. So you'll see that in the fashion that we have. It's on my website, nubianred.com. A lot's been going on. I'm supposed to, I don't want to jinx this one, so I'm crossing my fingers. I'm supposed to be going on tour next year, and everything is up in the air again because of COVID this time. So I'm just crossing my fingers that COVID goes away and we get to visit places like Scotland, where Fraser is at. And of course, I'm not sure if we'll be in Connecticut per se, but we'll be some places in the US, as well as we're going on a tour of Africa. So I'm really excited about that one. The event that we have, that's a lot. Yeah. The event that we have coming up on the 31st is actually, let me give you the backstory. My son, I don't remember if I was talking to you the last time, Mark, and I was telling you my son is a little one. He was 3 at the time. Right. He's actually born with a rare orthopedic condition. Wow. And when he was born here in Jamaica, the doctors had no idea what it was. At first, they told me it was clubfoot. And then they came back, and after they did x-rays on him and said it's a very rare condition called tibial hemimelia. It's actually a 1 in a million condition. Only 1 out of 1 million kids born around the world would actually may. It's not a must. They may have it or may not. So it so happens that my son, he's now 5. He has it. He has tibial hemimelia of the right leg. In some cases, kids are born with it in both legs, which is called bilateral tibial hemimelia, but he's only afflicted in his right leg. We've been trying to just move around in terms of getting doctors and getting surgeons' opinion on what the way forward looks like. However, when we finally got to the U.S., we went to 2 places in the U.S. The second place that we went to was the Paley Institute, and they are familiar with the condition in that they offer treatment rather than just amputation. So, which is what they normally would offer because, like I said, it's a very rare condition. So when the Paley Institute told us that they have alternative, we sought out that alternative, and they told us the costing for it after doing major tests and X-rays on Raphael. They said the cost is $250,000 US. Of course, we don't have that kind of funding, so we had to be doing fundraisers. We were doing smaller fundraisers, getting help from various places. To date, we've raised about $17,000 US. But the journey for us continues because, Raphael is a great person. He's a great individual. And as his parent, I'd want to do what is the best option available to your this child, because I don't know what the future looks like. I don't know what his future look like. But as I'm here, I'm committed as his mother to do whatever I can to give him the best options available. He's my only child. I don't have any other children, so my focus, just got a little drifted because I was doing music first, and along came this little boy, and he's just so sweet. And I'm just so blessed every day that I know him. So yes, this fundraising is for Raphael. We'll be trying just to put on a small show. It's not a big show because it was kind of a last minute idea that I put together, and some folks around just said yes, they'll come on the show, they'll come and support it, they'll push it, they'll do whatever they can. So it's New Year's Eve. It's an online event. They can go to my website, www.nubianred.com. There's a link there for the event. We'll have people in the reggae fraternity, such as Delroy Melody, Raven Amani, Emmanuel I. These are all reggae artists who just saw Raphael and heard his story and just wanted to help. So that will start at about 5 o'clock our time. I think it's 10 o'clock Fraser's time in Scotland. Yes, so we'll have DJs spinning from in the UK as well as here in the East, in the West. So yeah, it's a show all around for everybody. If persons still want to come on board and help us, we're welcoming everybody because it's a fundraising event. It's not anything. It's not a stage show. It's not one of those showcase. It's just an event for us to be festive and be merry and chase 2020 away, and at the same time contribute to something good, something that will help a child, so we're very grateful for all the persons who have come on board so far. So in such a short space of a time, everything is building and it's progressing better than I could possibly hoped. So I'm very thankful.
Sounds like it's a great event and definitely one that is a worthy cause that many more people need to be aware of and need to be supporting and things along that line. So definitely, I know that my good friend, Zach Robertson, who is a funk musician, was definitely seeing that you were going to be hopefully doing a tour to Africa. And he was saying that he would love to come to Africa and perform his funk music with you. So maybe a mix of funk and reggae music is something that he was saying that he would love to do. And he says that a lot of folks, himself included, are definitely suffering because of COVID and things of that nature. And I know that he's also a person that's very much about positive messages and the messages that are needed at this time and everything. So I know that you have a whole philosophy of life that you kind of live by and everything. We talked about it when you were on my audio podcast. So I'm sure that Fraser would love to hear this philosophy of life of yours, as well as just kind of the ways that you're trying to radiate positivity throughout the world. So I'd love to hear you talk a little bit more about that, Nubian Red, so that folks can understand what your philosophy is.
Well, the name Nubian Red, it's something that embodies the same philosophy. The music embodies that. So the philosophy is always about love and enlightenment, of course, and love in just starting with self. Love yourself for who you are, for how your creator made you. Loving others, even if they don't look like you, if they don't sound like you, if they don't think like you, their actions are not yours, but they're an individual and they deserve love just the same. And in that, come from a place in your heart and in your mind of love. So whatever you're teaching, imparting, whatever is coming from you should always be from a place of love. And in terms of the aspect of enlightenment, it's just simply teaching. It's teaching because once we're here on earth, we're learning. And if you're not learning, that means there's nothing going on for you. You're not alive, because everything should be a learning experience. Every day should be a learning experience. So it's just about learning. And in that capacity of learning, you also become a teacher. So it's just one of those things that, feeds in itself only positive things, because life is good and good is God and God is good.
That makes a lot of sense. Fraser, what are some of your thoughts that you've been hearing Nubian Red and what she's been going through, and some of the things that she's having happen in her life and just her philosophy of life as we are entering into 2021 and everything? And I know a lot of folks would like to see a more positive 2021. 2020 rocked everybody's world as far as I can tell and everything. So definitely I was wondering what some of your thoughts were about this kind of positive nature we need and what you think we need to be thinking about in the world for 2021.
I think at the moment, it's not easy to try to do anything at the moment, but I suppose it's thinking outside the box a little to say obviously there's things we can't do due to certain circumstances, but there's things we can do. So it's taking the things we can do and utilising them to the best of our ability. Now, these things we can do, they might have a slight... You'll be able to do them to an extent, or you might be able to do them to the full effect, but do these things that we can do, that's the best thing, and work them out. And then until the time comes that you can fulfill those things, when things get better outside the box or inside the box, you go back and do them. So, yeah, I'm just having that. I think it's just like anything. You've got to just think, well, I think outside the box, what can I do? I can do this, this, and this. Let's go and do it. Do the best I can, and then and make the best of it until the things that would have made it even better open up again, if you know what I mean. So that's the best way. And I think it's not, especially raising money for charity stuff, it's not easy, especially at this time of year, this time of year, even this due to the people who are losing work and businesses that are closing down, trying to raise money for something. Well, people are not going to be that quick to dip their hand in their pocket, because of there's been a major financial implication across the world due to the COVID. So it's a tough cookie basically to do, but it's obviously it's through what you try to do, which is great. And hopefully, even if it's just you raising something is better than nothing, and even entertaining people at the same time through what you try to do is great. And if it just gives something back, it's a bonus,
I definitely agree with you on that. It is very difficult times and everything, but I'm glad that Nubian Red is definitely continuing her effort to try to raise this very important money for her son and everything along those lines. But one of the things I was curious about, how is the reggae music been impacted by the pandemic and everything along those lines? I am definitely a big fan of a lot of the legends of reggae, whether that's Peter Tosh, whether that was the late great Bob Marley, or whether that was Jimmy Cliff, or a number of other great reggae artists that have been out there. So how did you get involved first in the reggae music, and then also how has the whole pandemic been impacting y'all? Because I imagine it's like here in the States that a lot of the clubs and a lot of the festivals have been shut down and aren't performing, and therefore it was very difficult in 2020. So can you talk about how y'all are preparing for 2021 in the reggae community?
Well, the year has been tough, no doubt about that, Mark. for us Jamaicans, we're resilient. So it's like something we get up and do. It doesn't define us. It doesn't bring us down, because this is life for us, always pushing, fighting. Persons looking from the outside looking in will think that Jamaica is paradise, and it is, but it has always had its challenges, and people are here just always trying to figure out the next way. COVID kind of just threw us a curveball, which, businesses are not really closed per se, but they don't operate in full. So it's still a disadvantage for a lot of persons and their communities. In terms of the music, I'm not so plugged into reggae because, my music is called jam rock, which is a fusion. It does have elements of reggae, but I'm not plugged into the community like that. But I do have connections with musicians and so forth. So they'll tell us what's going on. And so far, most of the shows had to kind of adapt. I know that they wanted to have reggae sunsplash. They did have some fest, but it was a kind of an online adaptive kind of feel. It wasn't the reggae fest that everybody knew and loved. I understand that they're pushing forward with Jazz and Blues Festival come January, but a lot of things got impacted, including the music and including the works of artists here, because a lot of them can't travel. They can't do shows, and the shows that they do are very limited in terms of income and turnout and poll, because, everywhere is on a lockdown, so to speak. But in Jamaica, it's not totally closed. But, we do have sections where we have curfews and we have to get in by a certain time. So everybody's just trying to do the best they can with everything that we've got. I know the numbers in Jamaica for COVID is not as terrible as it is in the rest of the world, but it's still a challenge. People moving around and they don't know who have it, and by the time you look, the numbers are skyrocketing in certain areas. So we're impacted. For me, for the most part, I do stay in a lot. I haven't been the shops, the supermarkets, going shopping, because those activities are kind of limited in terms of what you can do. Persons can't go into a store all at once. You have to be lining up outside. Some people don't want to be outside in the sun forever to get things done, but we have to do it. So we do it. Like I said, it's Jamaica. We know about the struggles. We know about the hard life. So we kind of persist. I do understand what Fraser was saying about, it's very hard for charities and persons, individuals themselves, to think about being charitable and giving at this time when, you're losing your job left, right, and center, or you're trying to figure out how to pay the bills, how to do all of that. So, I do understand. So it's not something that we're pressuring people for. It's if your heart is there and your pocket is willing, you can go ahead and donate to us. If you can't, you still can enjoy the show, because, we'll be posting it after the show is done, so persons can come and see what we did. It's just to give people hope, I guess, because a lot has tried this year, including the fact that I recently lost my mom, and I was like so surprised. That I was like really shocked, because it was not something we expect, but we kind of knew that it's a part of life, and we just, I guess, just embrace it and just pull our socks up and just keep moving, because life just keeps on moving. Earlier in the year, we lost our uncle, and then later in the year, it was my mom. So, 2020 dealt its blows to everybody. Everybody has different circumstances. Everybody has different challenges. It's not going to, no matter how much you're trying to be positive, it's not going to be positive all the time, but you have to look for the light, and you have to pull yourself up. Because nobody else going to do it for you. It's hard. It's going to be difficult. But if you have a mindset of determination and just pulling forward, because it's forward that we progress, that we change things. It's with forward movement that we think differently and do good. So, I just keep, in spite of everything, I just keep a positive attitude, because I know that being sad, while it is a feeling, you don't want to dwell in it. You want to make sure you're making progress, and your progress is indeed something good.
No doubt about that. And by the way, Zach Robertson was listening, and he's a good friend of mine and everything. So he was definitely expressing his condolences to you and to your loss and everything. So he was definitely sharing that he wanted to give you those condolences, and I want to share those as well. And also to Fraser, he was saying that he was definitely saying that he could definitely feel the pain of you dealing with your business and everything of that nature. So he was saying that he's definitely sorry about what you're going through with your business, and he added that his daughters actually have Scottish blood in them. Even though he's an African-American gentleman, his daughters are from a mixed marriage, so they have Scottish blood from their grandfather's side and everything along that line. Both of you, because I do think that it's very important that we listen to both our parents and our ancestors and things along those lines. So I'd love to hear from both of you. And I'll start with you, Nubian, since you did just recently lose your mom and everything. What are some of the important life lessons that you feel that you learned from your mom and some of your other ancestors? Then I'll ask Fraser that same question. But I'd love to hear some of the things that you feel that you learned from your parents, and particularly your mother.
For me, I would say that I learned from my mom, just be true to yourself and seek honesty in all things. Because when you're true to yourself, you don't have to worry about what you have to fix for the rest of the world to accept you. You worry about what you're doing so you can be accepted by yourself. You have to accept yourself as who you are. So, being true to myself has always been something that I admire that my mother taught me. She also taught me how to be strong and resilient. She has had a difficult life, leaving her parents when she was only 16 years old, coming to a different section of the island to start her life, and just struggle after struggle. And she joined the Jamaica police force here, and I'm just amazed at her strength and her resilience and her determination to get things done. Despite being a single parent, she was a mother of 5 kids, and she raised 4 of them by herself. So I'm just thankful that, I knew her, I knew the person she was, and I could take a lesson from her life for my own to progress in a way that, has a positive impact wherever I am. I think of my ancestors, because I'm also a descendant of Maroons. Jamaica is a mix, what you call a melting pot. So we have the Scottish, the Irish, the Welsh, the Germans. They're all here. We have the Africans and the Indians, and it's a melting pot of people. So as much as I'd like to say, I embrace one culture, I can't, because I'm Jamaican and everything about me is unique and different, and everything in me has something from some place in the world. So I'm thankful for that. I'm also, like I said, descendant of Maroons, and they were very strong people. They knew when it was time to fight, they fight. And they knew when it was time to move, and they moved, because, that is in their blood. That comes from not just a place, but a spirit that moves within you. So you're born among people, but the spirit has to move within you for you to adapt to certain conditions, not be easily thrown by situations. Because, sometimes I just think, what if I wasn't born where I was born? What if I didn't have the parents or the struggles that I've had? What kind of person would I be? But I know that I'm a better person each day because I choose to be better than I was yesterday. So it's just a matter of understanding my life's purpose and living that based on what is within me.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And before I get to Fraser and his thoughts about lessons he learned from his parents and everything else, one of the things you said that really interested me was the fact that your mom was a police officer. And I know that one of the shows that we do here is a show called Mind Closet, and they've been going through some things with the police and what's going on with the police even there in Nigeria, because the gentleman that does that show is from Nigeria. So we, of course, know about Black Lives Matter movement here in the United States, but they were also having some concerns about police and the way the police treat their citizens in Nigeria. So apparently this is a worldwide problem and everything. So I was just wondering what some of your thoughts were about policing in general and some of the things that you might have learned about policing from having your mom join that force. And I can't think that there could have been that many women in the force.
There's still not that many women in the force. And let me just clarify. Not all police, they're all human beings. Not all of them are, following this stereotypical way of being where it is brutalized and chastised and murder. There are some of them in there who truly, in their principles and in their hearts and in their minds, believe that there's a better way to do things. And as much as they're few and their voices are probably not as loud as the others, they would like to see things change. With that being said, it's something that I call the laws of nature versus the rules of men. Because when I do have a show coming up, so I'll tell you more about my show that I'm putting together. It speaks to issues that affects people worldwide, and one of the major issues that we've seen that have impacted, especially in North America, is policing and police activities relating to persons of color. And yes, Black Lives Matter. It's sad that we have to say it, but we'll say it because we feel that there's a need for it to be heard. It's not that we want to single out any life, but when you see the hasty and just the neglect and the heinous activities that are meted out to brown skins across America and elsewhere in the world just because of how you look, it is embedding in somebody's mind that says, just because you look a certain way, I ought to treat you like that. And we don't first think of everybody as just human beings. We start distinguishing based on physical features that we might not agree with. And it's okay to have your own personal preference. It's okay to have your own personal biases, but this cannot be how we treat the persons who are of African descent, obviously, who you see just because of how they look. I can't think of any reason other than how they look, how we look, that you will treat us in that way, because it's not uncommon. The treatment is not uncommon. I've heard stories, I've experienced not blatant racism, but just silence of it. So it hurts. It hurts. But the progress is for us to start treating each other like we want to be treated. We're human beings. And I don't see the point, because when you go to a doctor and they said you need blood transfusion for whatever you're going through, you don't say, okay, I want the white blood, I want the black blood, I want the Indian blood. You don't say, I want the white doctor to save my life. I want the Asian doctor to save my life. Whoever is there, they'll save your life because they're humans. And, humans have a way of adapting and reshaping their mind if they choose to. So in this case with the policing, the whole issue, I think it's a mindset, it's a culture that has been accepted it's not just today, for hundreds and hundreds of years, that these are people that should be treated less than what we think is human. So this is how we're going to treat them. But not everything lasts forever. There will come a time when we have to step back and realize that whatever we're doing, it's not working. So let's make the change, and change is important for everybody to grow.
No, I definitely agree with you on that. And we've got one of the guests that will be joining us in a little bit and everything. But I do want to hear from Fraser what he's got to say about lessons he learned from his parents and everything along that line and everything. So I'm going to bring Fraser into that part of the conversation, and then I'm going to bring in Fitz Koehler as well, because that's one of our other guests. But by the way, Zach was saying that he definitely was agreeing with what you had to say, Nubian Red, because he said, well said, we are all one love. So that was one of the comments that he made, is that we are all one love and all things along those lines. But what are some of the important lessons that you learned from your parents and some of your own ancestors? Because I do know that the Scottish people are also very much tied to their ancestry and things along that line. So I would love to learn some of the things that you learned from both your parents as well as some of the ancestors in your life.
Well, unfortunately, my dad died when I was 5, so I didn't really know much. I didn't really get much of a fatherly education. Learned from him. My mum, she was all. I knew the last, she died in 2008 of cancer, so I kind of learned near the end of that. I was to work, and I was never, for me personally, I was never a studier. I was more of a sort of practical person, practical learning. So when it comes to academic wise, I'm a bit, it wasn't my strong point in that department. Like, some people are more academic than practical. So I've kind of done everything I've learned is just through practical and doing. And after, I think it was a matter of when she passed, I had a choice of either I sink or swim, really, and I had to swim. So I had to survive, and I think surviving is one thing I'd probably say is just got to keep going. Mum went through her struggles, and I think she just kind of kept going on, even though from just being a single parent, basically looking after 3 kids. So I'm the youngest of 3. So basically, I would say it's just a matter of keep going. So, and it'll be okay, and fight. Just do what you can. I think it's one thing I've learned. I'm now 11. I'm over 11 years self-employed, and it's not been easy. And it's to get to 11 years has been. You get ups, downs, and I'm going through a bit of a drought. But there's a drought. There's a famine. There's a feast later on. So it's. I look forward to that feast. But you just got to keep go through the. I suppose it's just like when in the Bible there was the famine, there was the feast afterwards. So you've just got to do that. You've got to think of we're going through a famine at the moment, and then light at the end of the tunnel. There's going to be, but it's going to be better for all of us. So it's tough. It's frustrating, and there's especially for mental health as well. A lot of people, friends I know who are struggling. It's just when you're, you're kind of half motivated. You're motivated because you're not as busy as you were. You're not as like adrenaline rush, constantly on the go, constantly running around like a headless chicken. You're realizing your motivation is kind of there, but not there, because you're like a glass half full almost, because it's hard because of what's going on in the world at the moment. It's restricting people mentally as well, and it does take its toll, and you don't realize it subtly takes its toll on you as well. But I'd say as you go back, I learned just keep going. You got to keep fighting. It's tough times. I think everyone's. I think you just got to talk to yourself, and motivate yourself, because only you can really do it. Nobody else can do it for you. You've got to just get on with it and focus and say, right, okay, I can do this. We're all going to go through down times and ups and downs, and you're just kind of like, right, I'm climbing the walls here. But you just have to try and really have to shake. You have to talk to yourself and say, I can do this, and break the cycle, and just keep moving and fighting. And that's the main thing. And I think we will all get through this, and we're in it together, whether we like it or not. And we just got to say, right, we can do this. We can do it. We are going to thrive.
No doubt about that. We've got to do it together and struggle together and come through this together and everything along those lines as well. So I definitely agree with you on that. We've got to do more of the bringing folks along and everything along those lines. So I did want to bring in Miss Fitz into the conversation as well. So Fitz, if you could share a little bit about what you've got going on in the world, because there are a number of things that are going on in the world. So I had invited a lot of people around the world. We've got a gentleman representing Scotland. We've got the Nubian Red representing Jamaica. And you have to tell us where you're representing and some of the things that are going on in your world, because we do love meeting the people of all sorts and all types of personalities and things of that nature. So it's your time to tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm with you, Mark. Thanks for having me on your show, Nubian and Fraser. Nice to meet you guys. Many of my ancestors have come from Scotland. It's beautiful. I've been there, and Jamaica is one of my favorite places to vacation with some of the kindest people on the planet. So nice to meet you all. So yeah, I'm in Florida, United States, and what have I got going on? I mean, much like everybody else, just trying to figure out this very weird year. I've got 2 teenagers, managing them being in school or sometimes not being in school. We've all been healthy. We all take very good care of ourselves. So we're very fortunate. Even if we ended up with a virus or the flu or anything, we're very likely to be just fine because we eat lots of fruits and veggies and exercise and sleep, and we do, the right things. So we're not in any sort of high risk category. My new project I've been spending all year on is my new book, My Noisy Cancer Comeback. Good. And in May, just 7 months ago, I finished chemo, 15 months of chemo for breast cancer, which along with that, I had 33 rounds of radiation, a few surgeries. And, as Fraser was saying, I think we've all loved and lost someone with cancer. And there's very few things more terrifying than hearing those words, you have cancer. And so I got to hear those words less than 7 weeks after a clean mammogram. So, I'm a fitness expert. I do almost everything right. Almost. I'm not perfect. And I did go in for that mammogram, and I was told I was fine. And then less than 2 months later, I rubbed my underboob at a hotel bathroom, and I found that lump, and I made the call to the physician immediately. I did not wait. I didn't, Google it or call my mom and cry. I just got on the phone. I called the doctor, and I think it was less than 3 weeks later, I started chemo. 11 days later, I started losing my hair. I had waist length, thick, long, fabulous hair. And then all of a sudden Fraser and I were twins. I was totally bald. And it was weird. But I spend my career, I work on stages. I do television, radio, books, magazines as a fitness expert, a lot of corporate speaking. And then I'm a professional race announcer. So I host some of the largest, most prestigious running events in the United States, from Los Angeles Marathon, Philadelphia Marathon, Buffalo, Big Sur, you name it. I stand on a stage surrounded by 20 to 75,000 people. And it was pretty interesting to do that, gray and bald and sick. But, there's always someone who has it worse. We're at the point where I think everyone on planet Earth right now has something to complain about, right? Everyone can bitch and moan about this or that and have some validity to their complaints. But, I'm not a complainer. I never point the finger. I don't believe that God chose me for cancer. I don't believe it was unfair. I just believe I had a rogue cell go wild, and I'm responsible for me. And so the thing I could control is pursuing great care, medical care, which I did. And then I also chose not to be a victim. I just chose that I was the victor, and I wasn't going to let cancer have its day. And so I continued to live. Now, mind you, I was sick. I was so sick. I got violently ill. Everything went wrong with my body, but I still got on every plane to go announce those races. I went to 22 different cities during my most aggressive part of treatment alone. And no matter how sick I was, I decided I'm getting on those planes. I'm going to go do my thing. I'm not missing my events, my runners. I'm not missing my joy. And things got bad, things got scary. But, like, as you said, everybody's got something, right? So yeah, I had cancer. It was horrible, but I wasn't a little kid with cancer, which would be way worse. Wasn't my kid with cancer. Fortunately for me, it wasn't one of the more typically lethal types of cancer. So I just decided to do my best, put a smile on my face as often as I could. If I had a frowny face, I would stay in my room and just cry alone. And, I told myself, as Fraser was saying, I can do hard things. And in fact, one of my chapter titles is called I Can Do Hard Things. And, life hits you in the face sometime and you got to just keep going. So I'm on the other side of it now. I'm very healthy. I'm very happy. And I'm back to being noisy.
And there's nothing wrong with being noisy. We like noisy folks and all that. By the way, our friend Zach definitely made a comment to what you were saying. He said, congratulations, and you're a warrior. God bless you. He was saying that God bless my dad and his sister were taken by cancer. So he finds you to be a true inspiration because he definitely lost some of his folks due to cancer. And I've lost folks in my family as well due to cancer and all of that. So definitely wanted to share that message from Zach to you and everything. But what other advice could you give to folks that are fighting these kind of like difficult diseases? I don't know if you heard the first part of the show and everything, but Nubian Red has got her son that is facing a very difficult disease, and she is raising money to try to get him to be in a healthy state herself and things of that nature. So what advice do you give to folks when they are facing difficult diseases and things along those lines?
Well, I can say that nothing prepares you for a sick child. I mean, that's just, I'm sorry you're dealing with that. That's the worst. Both of my kids have asthma, and, those moments where I was worried they wouldn't continue breathing were the worst of my entire life, worse than cancer. So I'll be praying, rooting for your son. Mindset goes a long way. I don't know if that helps a little kid. Kids are resilient to begin with, and kids choose joy. Kids want to be happy. They want to have fun. So given the opportunity, they do. But I think what's really important right now is that everybody prepares their body to do battle. I mean, at the end of the day, with the COVID nonsense, the people who are at high risk are the people who haven't taken care of themselves, right? It's not the people that are out exercising and eating right that are on ventilators. These are people that have type 2 diabetes, people that are obese, people that suffer from heart disease. There's a thing called comorbidities, and it's something hospitals use all the time. If you get sent to the hospital, whether you've been hit by a car or you've been diagnosed with the flu, you're more likely to die if you have one of these risk factors with obesity, diabetes, heart disease, cancer, So the thing is, right now, everybody just needs to focus on preparing their body for battle. Okay, if you are fit and strong today, whether you get ill or you get injured, you are way more likely to rebound and recover fully and quicker if you are healthy going in. And so it's been interesting to me seeing all these health officials constantly talking about, hide and wear your mask and hide. And nobody has said everybody needs to go out and get produce of 5 different colors and eat it every day. And everyone needs to get out and exercise. Everyone needs to get some fresh air. Nobody's talking about actually building up a strong immune system and creating a healthy society that's not so vulnerable to every little virus that comes around the corner. So, attitude. I'm a joy addict. I'm going to choose it no matter what. And then I also choose to be healthy as best as I can. And so I want people to really take their health seriously because, on occasion there's a genetic thing you can't fight. But for most of our ailments that people are dealing with, they're chosen. They were induced by bad habits. And, we should spend our effort taking care of Nubian's son because he probably didn't do anything to earn his situation. But there's a lot of people out there earning bad things. So does that make sense, Mark?
No, that makes a lot of sense. It's interesting that you mentioned that because one of our founders of the IBM TV network actually talks about that in the sense of education and all of that. Because one of our arguments is that we're not doing enough with our kids when we've got them in front of the computers and doing a lot of the hybrid learning and things of that nature, but we're not doing enough to encourage them to get out and exercise and do things along those lines. And I also know that Zach, who's a good friend of mine and who does a show here, Funk Music with Zach and everything, that he oftentimes talks about the fact that he's got a daughter that's very much involved in athletics and another daughter that's very much involved in music, but neither of them are doing as much as they would in the past in those fields because of being confined in the house and definitely not doing as much and things along those lines. So I do agree with you that we do need to get out and enjoy the exercise and enjoy the things that are going to enhance our health and things along those lines. I don't have any problem with folks wearing masks because I do think that we probably in some cases need to wear those masks and things along those lines. So I don't have an issue with the mask part of it, and I do think that we need to be protecting ourselves and trying to stay safe in that sense. But I do think that we do need to get out and get that fresh air and all of that. So that's one of the things that I do think we need to have happen regularly. And I saw that Nubian also gave us a glance at her son as well. So that was a great cameo that the son made, and I definitely appreciated that as well.
Yeah, you know,
he actually just came out of the house and went on the lawn.
It's so cute.
Yes, he just went on the lawn all by himself. That's the thing that was Fitz was talking about. Kids always choose joy. He chooses joy. He's always happy. I remember at one point when we were fundraising and somebody said to me that, you know, he's not sad enough, so nobody's going to pay attention to his story. But I said, I can't make him sad. You know, I don't want to make him sad because, you know, joy is something that heals you. I don't want to make him sad. And you're right, Fitz. Your food is your medicine. You shouldn't be worried about paying doctor bill. You should be worrying about what foods you're going to the grocery store to pick up and what are you putting in your body, you know, because at the end of the day, your body, once something attacks it, it will fight back, but it needs stuff to fight back. Come and say hi. The mosquitoes are over here. Hi. Say hi. Hi.
Hi.
Hey there.
Oh, look how cute. What's his name?
His name is Raphael.
Raphael. So handsome. Hi, Raphael. So cute.
And by the way, Zach was saying that his prayers were going out to Raphael as well. So he actually had a note in that sense as well. He says, my prayers to your son, Nubian, God bless him. So definitely he was sending those prayers to Raphael. So definitely that was a great message and everything. One of the things that we did on one of our shows yesterday, and I'd love to hear from y'all about this and everything, was we were doing a roundtable. Zach was actually part of that. And we asked people what they felt was the good, the bad, and the ugly of 2020 and what they hope to see in 2021. So I'm going to start with you and give a perspective from Scotland. So I'll start with Fraser, work my way over to Nubian, then come down to Fitz and everything. But what to you was the good, the bad, and the ugly of 2020?
Me? Or me first?
Fraser.
Sorry, I wasn't sure.
Yes.
I think the first 3 months was a good thing because the first 3 months, January, February, March, before everything just went south. So I think that was the first part of it. We were all, well, hey, this is what we're expecting for this year. And then, oh dear. So that was probably the good thing. Yes. I think through this there has maybe something like this had to happen in some way or form in the world. Now, you couldn't write it. You never think that, okay, the whole world's going through a pandemic. We're all talking about the same thing. Basically, every day we're all going through the same procedures, pretty much. Excuse me. But I'd say probably in a sense it's probably been it's a bad thing, yes, but in some ways maybe a good thing because maybe the world was probably getting out of control, and maybe the world was just going a bit crazy, and it's put the brakes on things, and it's helping us to start again or reset. And basically that's probably what's happening. So it's probably a positive spin in some way, but obviously not. It's not been positive because of what's happened. But I'd say, the first 3 months, the start of the year was just like normal. We're all probably just going forward and thinking about this to do, that to do, planning, and just start doing what we need to do normally until it stops. But maybe looking at it, as I say, I think it's probably a good thing. As I say, it's starting again, and once we do get to the end game is happening because the vaccines have come out. It's giving us things will be slightly take a while to get back to what we left in the beginning of the year, and so maybe it's a fresh start for a lot of people. It's going to be more positive than we realise, and I think in every people, we all go then, the good, bad, and ugly. The ugly thing is just been we're all going to a dark tunnel, and you go to a dark tunnel. There's like the end of the tunnel somewhere. You're just going to keep going through it until you get to the end. And there will be, as much as we all moan and whine, and I have done plenty of that. I'm frustrated at our politicians, and frustrated at the people the decisions they're making. Yeah, it's hard, and I admit that. I think we'll get there. And I think, for me personally, when it came to Christmas Day, even though I was just a very relaxed Christmas with my family, my sisters, personally, I thought it was just a kind of nice light relief. We made it to Christmas. It's a different focus. It's all about Christmas. It's just having that chill, presents, food. It was just a nice relief mentally. And I'm just realising, right, Christmas is done. Last few days of this year, what can I achieve and get started and really just get knuckled down and get things done before we do start 2021. And utilise my time before it does get busy again or in other ways, and it takes you away from the things that you should have really done weeks ago or weeks during lockdown, but you never did. And you're saying, right, okay, let's just knock this on the head, do what I need to do, and then go forward from there. So I think I know it's a bit of a sort of good, maybe not bad, ugly, but in some ways,
no, that gives a good idea and everything.
But I think in some ways it's maybe a good thing that sometimes there is probably a small positive out of this whole thing that's given us time to reset and reevaluate what and just going forward,
No, that makes a lot of sense. What about you, Nubian Red? What are some of the things that you've seen that have been the good, the bad, and the ugly? And by the way, I think that I'm jealous of Nubian Red because she's in Jamaica. My dad and my nephews are at the beach, and I'm stuck in Durham, North Carolina. So you're already at the beach. And so that's always a good thing because you stay at the beach because you're in Jamaica.
There's a lot of...
well, I'm actually...
Sorry.
I'm actually trying to avoid the sun. I'm outside, and the sun is just having its day wherever I go. So I'm so sorry. I know it must be extra cold where you are, but we're enjoying warmth. It does get cold from time to time here, but I know it's not as bad as where you are. I'm thankful, that I'm in Jamaica. That's a good thing. I'm thankful. I'm the good is that I'm here. I'm alive. I continue on the journey. I have breath in me. I'm being inspired just the same on a personal note that, that for me is the good personally. For the world in and of itself, the good is that the earth got a chance to breathe a little bit. It just wanted a break. We saw what happened when it got the break. The animals came out. The place was a magnificent sight to behold. So every now and then I'd just like for us to give the earth a break. It needs that much to help to feed us. Once it got that break, everything just seemed a little different. The bad, I'd have to say a lot of people died and were being lied to. That's the bad. The bad for me personally is that as much as I'm making plans, I don't know what will come of anything. So, that's the bad for me, not just making plans and still have to change them. It's a lot of work, but it's good just the same because I'm moving, I'm alive, I'm moving. The ugly personally is the loss of my mom. Fitz, you're a survivor, you're a warrior. I salute you. My mom, she had a different kind of cancer. They didn't discover it until after he was dead. She was in the morgue. That's when they opened her up and found out what kind of cancer it was. So it was hard. It was heartbreaking too. And I think that's the ugliest place I've ever been in life, I thought, the bad thing was Raphael being born with this condition, but it's not. I'm learning. He's learning. We're thriving. We're teaching. So, for us, that's a good. But the ugliest thing is losing my mom to cancer. And we didn't know until she died, and there was nothing to be done. And, we're in a space and an environment that very little is done to focus on the needs of your health, on wellness. Very little. They'll pay attention to crime and violence. Yes, it's a big ticket item. They'll pay attention to the financial woes of it all, but we don't focus on the health aspect of it. It's not just teaching, but us ourselves learning what is good for us and what we should do, so we don't end up in a hospital or on the hospital bed, and or doctors are the last point between us and death. So that's my ugly. The ugliness in the world is just, I guess I see human beings, instead of growing with each other, from time to time they'll show the worst of themselves. And it's not a time for that. It's a time for us to heal, find a way to come together even though we're apart, and build, because building is what we do. We're humans. It's by nature that we build. Whatever we're building, it should be for all of us. So that's my little takeaway. There's a lesson in everything, so I choose to learn the lesson. And as much as 2020 has been the roller coaster ride that you just want to get off and you can't wait until it's over, it's something we should learn from and see about how we take the next steps into the future. But I'm just thankful. I'm just thankful where you're coming from.
No, you got that great set of yours. So you definitely got a lot to be thankful for and everything. Before I get to Fitz and her good, bad, and ugly, and I'm actually going to tell her something about the fact that she's been working with track athletes and things of that nature, that is also something that I find very wonderful, and I'll share a little story about that. But before I get to that, could you tell folks a little bit again, Nubian Red, about the style of music and what makes it a different and unique style of music? Because you've basically created your own new style of music. So I would like you to explain what this style of music is and what it blends together and everything.
The style of music we do is called jam rock. It's a new genre created by myself and my producer. It's something that came to us. It's not something we basically said, let's sit down and work out something different. Reggae is already here and it's working for Jamaica. We could have gone down that path, but Jamaica is mystic in nature. So it's what we got. We worked with it. It is actually a fusion of all things Jamaica, whether it's ska, mento, reggae, dancehall, with elements of music from the rest of the world, because sometimes we do something that has the classical element, we do a lot of rock element, we do have jazz pieces, and we do have things that sound like they're gospel oriented, but it's just an element that feeds into itself, because music comes together and it pulls itself apart to show us that there are different sides to it. So we're hearing something different, and that's what we choose to deliver to the world.
Sounds great. Sounds like a great style of music, and I know that it was definitely going to be something that more folks will be learning about and things along those lines. Fitz, what I was going to say is that way back when, I'm in my late 50s now, but way back in my high school years, I actually ran track. I was the worst track runner of all times. I mean, I was horrible. And I know I was horrible. I was not a good track runner. My coach loved me because what the coach said was I was a master recruiter. I'm still a great networker, as you've learned through LinkedIn and other sources, even to this day. So I'm definitely a great networker. So I've carried that on through my life. But I used to dream that I would run in like the Olympics, either in the mile or the marathon or one of the bigger races. Has not come to fruition. So when you're talking about that you're covering these races, I'm like, I need to join her just so I can cover one of those and be an announcer in one of those races. since at age 58, almost about to be 59, I think my running days are over in terms of being competitive and things along those lines. So I might have to come out there and join you on one of those races just to comment on one of those as a commentator. And that's what I was going to say. I might have to go out there and find a way to team up with you on one of those big races, since I think my racing days are long gone. And just to let you know how bad I am, and this is like one of those stories that I've shared on different platforms about, we do need to share positivity, and I do believe in positivity, but I have a late great friend, speaking about folks that have moved on to the ancestral grounds, and he died many years ago, but I actually recruited him to run on the track team because I knew I needed to recruit somebody that I could beat. That was also the year that we lost our championship, because we were 3 years conference champions, and in my senior year we were not the conference champions because I recruited Jimmy Robinson because I was tired of getting beat. So I recruited somebody that I knew I could beat.
Well, I got to tell you what, you'd be just great at one of my races, because although I give full respect to our elites and our professionals and the folks that can run a marathon or 5K at a blistering pace, I far prefer the back of the packer. I love the people, the slower walker, crawler, people that come at the end, the ones who wear funny outfits and are just out there to get healthy and, have this magical experience. So I don't know, Mark, your days don't have to be over. If you came through dead last at one of my events, you'd probably receive the warmest, noisiest welcome of the day. So it's a great gift to be able to support people in life-changing moments like that.
Yeah, and one of the things I have thought about doing, and I have not done any recently, but I know there are a number of races. It even comes back to something that Nubian Red is doing with her fundraiser on the 30th. There are a number of races that are for causes, whether that's
almost
for
all of them. Not all of
breast
them, but
cancer, whether that's for a number of other causes. There are oftentimes races where the race isn't as important as the cause that they are raising money for. And I know that there's even one here that raises money for a number of nonprofits. And it's I think they're all over the country, but it's like the Great Human Race and things along those lines. But they oftentimes are raising money for various nonprofits around your region.
Yeah, even the for-profit races allow charities to come and do their thing in order to raise funds. So the running community is some of the most generous, caring people on planet Earth, and they're a very powerful force. If you want to raise funds or awareness or make an impact, the running community is certainly capable of doing those things.
Gotcha. So Fitz, I was coming back to you in terms of the good, the bad, and the ugly of 2020. So what is your good, bad, and ugly of 2020? And I would like you to share a little bit more about the book. I did have Nubian share about what's going on with her musical style, but I would like you to share about the book, because if I remember correctly, you also told me that the book is written in not a normal narrative style. So you actually did something a little unusual in the way the book was written.
So I'll start with the bad and ugly, because I like to end on high notes. I think bad is that ignoramuses are running some of the governments, making some bad decisions, and annual exams across the world have been canceled. And so people who needed to have their boobs checked or their prostates or their colons, all of these early detection screenings were canceled. And now instead of people being diagnosed with stage 1 or 2 cancer, they're going to be diagnosed with stage 3 or 4 nightmares because some fool at the government thought that they knew better than medicine. So that's bad. And I'm slightly opinionated about it. I'm very opinionated. Also very bad is the land of the free not being so free anymore. The fact that Americans have rolled over and said, take away my freedoms, disgusts me. And that's not why our soldiers died on the shores of Normandy. We're supposed to be free, period, end of story. So I think that's pretty bad. The ugly is all the humans wagging their fingers at each other's face, telling each other, you need to wear a mask or you shouldn't wear a mask. And they're all very pretentious and know everything and unkind about it. And so, I only take medical advice from medical practitioners. I only take health advice from health experts. And I don't think the bus driver next to me should be wagging his finger in my face about this or that. So I think people need to be nicer and they need to stay within their own lane. And unless you actually are an authority on health or wellness or medicine, you need to just do your own thing and not impose on others. So that's the ugly. But on the good side, for me, finishing up treatment, being able to declare myself cancer-free was a very big personal victory. And for the world, I think it's wonderful that bicycles are sold out globally. People are getting outside out of some of it's pure boredom or stir crazy. If you're like, I got to go outside. So it's hard to find a bicycle. It's hard to find a pair of roller skates. And that's because people have made those purchases. They get out. I see my neighbors on the streets walking and talking and spending quality time with their family. So, when there's silver linings, we have to appreciate those things. So my industry was obliterated. I've lost 55 events since the shutdown. And so my career was obliterated, and my people, my events, everyone in the event industry has had a rough time, but I'll take the good. I'll take the more time with my kids and my dog and my husband and stuff like that. So those are good. And then my book, right? So I was writing the book at a slower pace, and I was only writing on airplanes. And then when the world shut down, I had time to sit and finish it up. So again, it's my noisy cancer comeback. And so it is a narrative. They tell you when you write a biography or a memoir, you should not do it in chronological order. I did not keep a diary. I did not write a diary. However, with cancer, when people are looking for insight, they always want to know dates. Like, when did you have your clean mammogram? When were you diagnosed? And when did chemo start? When did you lose your hair? They want to know. So I did write the book in chronological order, and I was able to include dates because my calendar was so detailed, from this appointment, that race, et cetera, et cetera. But I wrote the book for two reasons. Number one, when I got diagnosed, I was told, hey, you might be sick, you might be bald, you'll probably be tired. Those are the things we all hear about cancer, right? And I was sick and tired and bald. But then all this weird stuff started happening. Weird, crazy, bizarre side effects. Nobody told me those things. Like, nobody ever mentioned, hey, your eyes might change colors. My eyes changed colors. When I went bald, being bald was bad enough, but I had a tan line down the center of my head because for 20 something years, I had parted my hair in the center. I had all of these bizarre, silly, crazy things happen. And I thought, why doesn't anyone tell you this? They don't tell you this in books or articles. And then I thought, you know what? People deserve to know this stuff. And I think they might get a kick out of it. They might get a good laugh, because I thought it was all, I was suffering, but I also still had a sense of humor about me and thought, this is semi-hilarious. This is absurd. So that's one of the main emphasis. The book is full of laughs, and cancer patients or cancer survivors will say, oh my God, thank you for saying that. And I laughed so hard because I had that too. But then the other side of things is, people need to be encouraged to truly keep living while they're fighting to survive. The second you get diagnosed, it's like being hit by a truck. Your whole world spins out of control, but you still can control certain things, right? I decided right away, I'm not giving up my career. I'm not giving up time with my kids. And so if I was with my kids, I was happy. I might've felt bad, but I forced a smile. When I was working, I would sleep on a hotel bathroom floor, sick as a dog all night, get up at 4 a.m., get dressed. And the second I got on my stage, it was like someone hit my on switch, and I got to be full force Fitz Koehler again. Did I look weird with my bald head? I did, but I still got to smile and be noisy and do the thing I love with the people I love. And so not everybody has the same type of career. You don't need it. But if you love animals and you're sick, go be with animals. If you're in the hospital and you can't be with animals, watch funny animal videos on your cell phone. If you love painting or music or hockey, include those things in your world, because life's short. And when you're sick, you need something to lift you up. As Nubian was saying, you don't get extra points for being extra sad. I chose perspective, to be happy that I wasn't in a worse situation. I chose to include my passions. And last but not least, I chose positivity. And so, did I sit in my car and cry alone a lot? I did. I was nervous. I was stressed. It was overwhelming. But when someone said something funny, I laughed. There was no benefit from me being the most pathetic girl in the corner of the room. Some people feel like they have to have the sick persona and they can't give it up. I wanted to be, as happy as I could, even in the worst of times. And I think that's really the proof of character. easy to be this great person when things are going great and you have all the money in the world and blah, blah, blah. But are you the same person when the chips are down, when stuff is hit the fan, when your house is burned down? Can you still find something bright and cheery in the afternoon? You know, when your whole family is in a horrible car accident, can you still find the light? And I did. And again, things were super bad for me. I look super healthy now. So it's hard to believe that there was a time last year where, you know, I understood what it was like to feel like a terminal patient. But that's kind of what this book is. It's filled with the details, the gory, juicy details. And then hopefully it's going to give people support. And from what I've been hearing is people are buying it for their, you know, my friend's diagnosed. Can I get your book to them immediately? They need the help. And then that patient says, oh, thank God I had this book. This was really helpful. So I don't know. I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, it sounds like a great book. It definitely sounds like more people need to get it. What advice would you give to folks? I've actually got a friend that is a longtime breast cancer survivor and things along those lines. She actually had the extreme cancer where she has lost part of her anatomy and everything along those lines. So what advice would you give to folks that have gone through cancer and are trying to adapt, whether they're trying to adapt, and she's actually a single woman, so she's trying to adapt even in the relationship status, because a lot of times, I hate to say it, but a lot of times of that part of the body is what a lot of people associate women with and everything. And if they feel that that's not part of their life, then they also feel that they've lost something vital in their life. So I just wonder, what kind of advice would you give to folks that are trying to deal with cancer in general, but breast cancer more specifically?
Yeah. So, you know, I mean, we are not our boobs. We are not our hair. You know, there's no one part of us that defines us. However, physically, that loss is difficult. I didn't lose my breasts. I didn't remove both of them, but I did have a lumpectomy. I'm a little bit crooked on one side. So, you know, I think, oh, is that perfect? No, but perfect's boring. I've never been perfect. And, you know, this is just, it's a fair exchange for survival, right? So yeah, it's just hard. You know, my body issues came because I lost enormous amounts of weight. I went from having this lean, curvy body I love to all of a sudden I was a skeleton. You know, my mother at one point said, she goes, you need to eat. I said, Mom, I'm trying to eat. But, you know, as you can imagine, my stomach was horrible. And my mom goes, you look like you were in the Holocaust. And I thought, well, thanks. I don't know what to do with that, but I happen to have cancer. I'm to have chemo every 3 weeks. I'm sick. What do I do? You know? So I did feel it. My clothes didn't fit. I had to stand on stages and figure out, you know, how to manage this thing. And even if you're not on stages, it's horrible. But, you know, it's tricky. It very much is tricky. So, you know, though, if women have completely lost their breasts, I see a lot of other women doing neat things. We're getting special tattoos or getting reconstructive surgery or just, you know, counseling, getting counseling. It's a brutal experience. You know, it really is a brutal experience, but it's not the end of the world. You know, you fight to survive. Once you get to that point of remission, you have to celebrate remission. And, you know, not everything is going to be puppies and unicorns, but you should figure out a way to make it right, because life's good if you choose it to be.
No, that makes a lot of sense. Now, I want to come back to something that Fraser brought up earlier and everything. There are a number of businesses that are struggling and things of that nature, whether they're in Scotland where he is. And by the way, Nubian Red, he was letting you know on his temperature that it was 32 degrees where he is. I think we're in the 50s. So y'all are a lot warmer, probably being in the 70s and everything like that, because he was showing you the temperature about maybe 15, 20 minutes ago. And at that time, it was like 32 degrees. But there are a number of businesses that are struggling. I've heard estimates that as many as probably 50 to 60% of our businesses could go under. I know that the event space, I also work in the event space, has been devastated. They're actually saying that we're worse in terms of space than the restaurant business is, because if we talk about actors, musicians, and a number of the art kinds of fields, we're actually even in a worse state than the restaurants are. And we know that the restaurants are in a very bad shape and things of that nature. So for somebody that's in a business, whether it's in Scotland like Fraser is, or someplace in the world, like maybe Nubian Red has got some friends that are in business in Jamaica, what advice would y'all give to Fraser that are folks that are trying to survive as business owners? So I'll start with you, Nubian Red, and then I'll come to Fraser. I mean, not to Fraser, to Fitz, and see what her advice would be to business folks. Because I do have friends that are in the restaurant space, as well as artists, as well as a number of other businesses. And they are very worried about 2021. They're definitely hopeful that they will be able to survive, but there are hearing some devastating figures that are being tossed out there as to how many will survive. So, Nubian Red, what kind of advice would you give to business owners as they are trying to struggle and move in a positive direction in 2021?
My advice is just to understand that it's a different time and it's a different space. So therefore, you have to adapt. So your business of your past or your present might not be the business of your future. So with that mindset, be creative. See how you can work something out in terms of what are you good at other than what you're currently doing? What else could you add to what you're currently doing? So it's a mindset that we have to take on, knowing that the changes happen whether we like it or not. So we have to change. I know that, I was in the production and marketing business, so I know that I have to change. I'm still doing music, but I'm doing other things in terms of I'm going to be starting up my talk show, which I should have done many moons ago, but this is the perfect time. Like Fitz said, you're at home, you write, you have the headspace to just be quiet and listen and find new ideas and find new avenues to get things done. It's going to be difficult. Everything is going to be difficult. Nothing good is going to be easy. So the journey begins and we just take the first step on it because, we're still here. So let's move. There's nothing else we can do. We can't fight it because it's nobody's fault. It's just what it is, our present circumstances. And it's a mindset that we just have to change ourselves to move forward in what is the new phase of who we are and what we are about. So I encourage business as much as it's hard and everything is going to be difficult and your finances are going to struggle. Just be mindful of the facts that change is a beautiful thing. And if you change, it might be something greater than you had before. So with that in mind, that's how you move. We have to always stay in the positive because it's the only thing that can heal us from whatever has afflicted us. Because as much as medicine can help, our mindset is what pushes us forward. So my thing is just to adapt and be creative as best as possible. You might be leaving out something out your business that you've never seen before, and now is the time to see it and add it or just change it. So I understand what Fraser is saying, his business, cleaning business, because of the offices closed and whatever else. This might be a perfect time to ask persons to if the trucks are out today. I tell you, Jamaica is still busy. We're quarantined, but the trucks are still busy. So Fraser might be thinking about, in terms of adapting, a house business. You give them a deep clean, a very, very deep clean. It's still in the same industry, but they get a deep clean. Sometimes they can take a break and come outside and sit down, and you give that house a deep clean for them, and they'll be back inside. Because I know everybody in that section of the world have curfew or quarantine to an extreme. So I know we'd have to work something out in that regard, but I'm saying, the homes are still working, they still need cleaning, so there's an avenue. What else is happening that would require Fraser's service? I don't know. He might be very creative in an aspect, working in broadcasting or writing, or we just have to know our skill set. He's very determined. He said it himself. There was nobody, you swim or you die. So I think for Fraser, he's strong and resilient, and he'll figure it out. So I'm very much thankful to be in this grouping of individuals who had the determination greater than life can throw away anything possible. So I'm thankful.
Definitely, and Zach did have another comment to y'all and everything, but I'd love to hear Fitz's advice as well. But Zach was saying, great shows, all of you. He says that y'all are crushing it in life. Keep reaching, and I'll do the same. He said he's got to run because he is, in addition to pursuing his music career as a funk musician, he is also an Uber driver. So I know he's got to get out there and get to making some money and things of that nature. And definitely, but he was definitely reaching out and giving y'all a shout out, and definitely saying that he was enjoying this show and has definitely been engaged over the last hour and a half and everything of hearing y'all's great and positive messages and things along those lines. So definitely glad that my good friend was listening. But what words of advice would you give as well, Fitz?
Well, I think Nubian and I could be best friends. I like what she has to say, and I agree completely. It's just about pivot. You know, I mean, my events evaporated. It just evaporated, and so I'm one of the top tier race announcers in the country, but races almost don't exist right now. So I still apparently have to feed my children. They still want to eat, and so, you know, what skills do I have where I can make a living? And so what I used to do a ton of is corporate speaking, you know, on health and fitness and peak performance. And so I'm going back to marketing that. I have the book out. University of Florida just hired me to do a speaker series, which is great. So I'm not doing what I love and what I want, but I'm figuring out to do other things. And you're right. It's possible this may lead to even better things than before. So yeah, pivot. Do you remember the Friends episode with Ross? He's carrying a couch up the stairs and he's yelling, pivot. And so whenever I get frustrated about my career, I scream in my head, pivot. So that's it. Pivot.
Yeah, and I think pivot has become the new cause word or the new catchphrase for just about everybody in the world. Like I said, I know that some words I definitely enjoy and some words I don't enjoy because sometimes I think that they are overused because in addition to working at a cultural arts center, I have worked at a testing company. So I've worked at the Hayti Heritage Center, and I've also worked for a testing company here in Durham. And there were certain words that we would always hear all the time that they would use way too much because you know how high school kids are. Those of you that have high school kids in your life and everything, they find a word and they will milk that word forever if they think that it's a good word and everything. So there were a couple of those words that would pop up into their essay exams, plethora being one of them. They love throwing in plethora all the time. So like I said, plethora was one of those words.
Plethora. Pivot.
So, Fraser, you hear some great advice, and I know you're trying to start your own radio station. So, tell the ladies about the radio station and how you're going to give a whole hour to nothing but music from Nubian Red. So, that's one of the things that I think you need to do right now. Because, I like to network and create opportunities. So, Fraser, I think you need a whole hour of music to nothing but Nubian Red.
Far from this way, when you start hearing people talk and meeting people for the first time, you do tend to research them, and I've been researching Nubia's. I've liked Nubian Red's Facebook page already. I've just searched Fitz, so I've been doing some. I suppose you start thinking of like, okay. You start thinking, how can I connect with these in business in some way or form? So, and maybe she's on Nubian. You're on mute. Sorry.
I'm sorry. The trucks are passing. I thought Mark was playing the song, so I heard the song. So I was like, Mark is playing the song already. I was going to play it in a little bit because I was trying to find your website,
and I did find this. I was going to do a shared screen, and I was going to bring up your website so that they can hear it in the background. So you might have heard it earlier because I did have it up earlier because I was finding your website and everything. So I'm going to try to bring it up so that folks can hear a little bit of your music and everything. But while I'm doing that and everything, if you Fitz can tell a little bit about where they can find your book while I'm looking for that, because I know oftentimes people will try to find it on Amazon or a number of other places. But if folks are wanting to get the book, how can they get your book right now?
Well, I prefer people come to fitzness.com, and it's right on the screen. All the books that are sold at fitzness.com, they come autographed, and they have a little gift with purchase. It's a big sticker that says, I can do hard things. And you can put it on the back of your phone or somewhere else to remind you when things get hard that you can do hard things. But the book's available hardcover, paperback, ebook, and audiobook. And it really is available wherever books are sold worldwide. So while I like it when people come through fitzness.com, you can technically go anywhere and just look up Fitz Koehler or My Noisy Cancer Comeback. and it should be easy.
I'd be quite happy to connect with you.
And what is one of the most important things that you would say that you learned as a cancer survivor? Like something that you just were not expected to learn that you have learned as being a cancer survivor that was not what you expected. You did mention the change of your body and the eyes, but something as a personal victory that you were not expecting that you got as a victory.
I learned that I like myself even more now. All the things before that maybe people would be put off by. I'm very stubborn. I'm stubborn in a good way. I'm adamant about doing things right and very determined and very noisy and aggressive. And all of those things that maybe were a little off-putting. I'm also quite abrasive. If you haven't picked that up already, I'm a little abrasive. But I think those are the things that got me through cancer like a boss, and of course I failed a million times and I was sick and I cried and all those things. I don't negate or, disclude those things, but I really, on the flip side of things, I really like who I am. I like what I'm about. I definitely know that I'm in the right career because, how many people could say if they went through the kind of treatment I went through that they would still want to go to work every day? I would get on these planes. My husband would say, how are you going to do this? And I would just say, I just am. And so, I really feel, I just feel like I'm doing the right thing. I'm at the right place in the world. I was definitely surprised by all of the side effects. I mean, again, my fingernails rotted out while they were still on my hands. And then they smelled like rotten fingernails. I could never quantify the amount of bizarre experiences I had. But yeah, it was very, well, I hate to say it's rewarding, but on the flip side, I just feel really good about me. I'm very proud of the way I managed cancer.
It sounds like you managed it really well and everything along those lines. So definitely it sounds like it was a great victory for you and all of that. But by the way, I was always under the impression that part of being a sportscaster was that you had to have at least a little bit of abrasiveness and all of that, because I've always been a fan of sports, the Olympics, as well as a number of other sportscasting. And I remember some of the football announcers. No, I'm talking about American football, not soccer.
Yeah.
Just wanted to make sure we were clear on that. So talking about American football, but I talked about some of those announcers. I think about Charles Barkley. I think about Howard Cosell, rest his soul and everything. And then oftentimes the sports announcers had a little bit of that abrasive personality. So I thought that was part of almost like a prerequisite for being a sports announcer.
Well, I think it's a fine skill to be able to be both tactful and respectful and not be vanilla. And I'm just not vanilla. I just am who I am. And almost everything that comes out of my mouth is happy and joyful and so forth. But when I'm interviewed, especially my opinions, if I'm asked my opinion, I give my opinion. And so, it is what it is. I am who I am, and I'm okay with that.
And there's nothing wrong with that, being who you are. That's a wonderful thing, to be who you are and to have that kind of warm spirit and to definitely be not afraid to speak out. But I do think that that's something that a lot of athletes have in general. I've been fortunate enough in the last month and a half to have two people connected with the athletic world on the show. So I think it was maybe a couple of weeks ago, I had Travis Diener, who is a former basketball player overseas as well as in the NBA, and a fellow Marquette graduate, because I graduated from Marquette University. So I reached out to him on Twitter and talked him into being on the show. So he was on not too long ago, sharing a little bit that he's learned from the world of basketball, the NBA, and overseas. And then I had Fran Harris, who is actually setting up some sports sports institutions, like training institutions throughout the country. She's actually in Texas. She was a WNBA player, and she's actually now has her own energy drink. So she's out there now recruiting and getting her energy drink out there and everything, because she definitely feels that that's something that we need to have more healthy kind of drink. So she's ready to take on Gatorade. So look out, Gatorade. Fran Harris is coming.
Okay.
She said that very
That
clearly
sounds
on the
good.
show that she was definitely looking to get out there and everything. But I'm going to try to pull this up on the shared screen, and we're going to see if it works. So I'm going to try to bring up a little bit of the Nubian website, which I think has the music on it as well. So we're going to see if this wonderful thing works and everything. So there is the website, if I can bring it up. So I'm going to see if we can get it to come up and everything. So I do see a little bit, but it hasn't come on the screen yet. So hold on 1 second. Sometimes things do not like to cooperate as much as I would like them to. So as I'm pulling that up and everything, if each of you, because one of the things I love to do is on all my shows, have people give their their messages of hope. And like I said, we've definitely seen a lot of things that have been very positive and everything on the whole course of the show. But I always love to have all my guests, as much as possible, give their messages of hope and their messages of things that they would like to share with the world to put it in a better context. So I'm going to say if y'all can give a message of hope, and I'll start with you, Fraser. So if you were to give a message of hope to the world in general, because we are an international platform, the international broadcast media. So if you could give a message of hope, what would that message of hope be to the entire world as we move into 2021? We've talked about what we learned from 2020, but we're going into 2021. So what is your message of hope for 2021?
Message of hope. That's when you put on the spot. It's kind of like, right. I think in life, going forward, message of hope. Take today one day at a time. Plan things, because at the end of the day, tomorrow's not happened, next week's not happened, 6 months has not happened yet. Yeah, work with what you've got. Take one day at a time and make the best of each day. Eventually, doors will open unexpectedly for you when you don't realize it. So, kind of, even though it doesn't look great, but just take today and utilize today and make it the best you can. You know what you may be doing in your diary, on your calendar, on the wall over the next couple of days, but it hasn't happened yet. So deal with it when it happens and let it just rebuild. And that's your message. Rebuild the house that's fallen down around you and move forward and build something new. Put new plans in place and just take it, build them brick by brick. And eventually we will get, you will find, you'll be pleasantly surprised at what comes from it by just taking one day at a time. And that's but just push through and don't give up.
Sounds wonderful. What about you, Fitz, and everything? What is your message of hope, and what kind of messages of hope do you share with both your teenage sons as well as your husband and the rest of the people in your life, including those runners of yours in your runner community? But what is your message of hope for folks as we move forward to 2021?
I would say control what you can, get past the things that you can't. You know, there's things that we have no control of, so you just have to turn your focus to the things that you can. And that's, I think, kindness. You can always be kind. You can always choose joy. You know, being miserable doesn't benefit anyone. So, you know, no matter how hard things get, you have to look at the sunny side. Is it always easy? No, but being miserable has no benefit at all, period, end of story. There's just no benefit to it. So if you can fight your way out of that storm, do it and do something good. Go figure it out. You're responsible for you. I'm responsible for me. There's nobody who's supposed to come and give me $1 million or, you know, fix my world. I have to do it myself. So giddy up. That's it. Giddy up.
Sounds great. I'm curious to hear what Nubian Red's message of hope is, even though you just busted my bubble, because you said nobody was going to be sending me $1 million, and I was expecting the door to knock any minute with that $1 million person coming to the door. So now you have busted my bubble, because I cannot expect that knock on the door.
I told you I was abrasive.
That was great message.
What is your message of hope?
Well, those were great messages from Fraser and Fitz. So I'm going to say my message of hope is believe. Believe. It's simple. Believe. Believe that there is good in the world and it's coming to you. So that $1 million, don't worry about it. If it's yours, it's coming to you. So just start by believing. And once you start believing in yourself and your abilities. And once you start working in that belief, then you start seeing things around you change. So don't worry about the big picture. Just start by believing.
That sounds like great advice. Nubian Red, there's just one little problem with your philosophy and everything, and I love the philosophy, and I definitely agree. We have to believe and everything. But, I've been believing that my queen was going to be coming forever, and I'm 58, about to be 59, so about to be 60, and I'm still in my apartment alone. So I haven't seen this queen yet either. So I think I need to do some more serious believing.
Mark, nothing happens before the time. What's his name? Isaac's father was what's his name? Was it Abraham? He finally had Isaac when he was old. He had his son Isaac when he was old. Yes, he had, and his mother had him, and she was 99 years old. So nothing before the time. You'll get what you deserve when the time is right. It's on its way. Just start by believing. You're not believing, Mark. You're doubting. You sound like you're doubting that it's ever going to happen. It's going to happen. You just have to believe.
And I think Mark should start with his voice. He's got a great voice. So send out, get on your dating site and just put an audio clip. Hey, ladies. Start with the voice, Mark. It's spectacular.
And you have a beautiful voice.
Well, yes. I appreciate that, and I definitely have heard that from several folks. They say that the voice is a wonderful thing. Those that can see the eyes say that they love the hazel eyes and things of that nature. So I know that there are assets out there, so I just have to use those assets when they are needed and all of that. So we're going to see if we can't get this website to work one more time and see if we can't pull up the website and whether it wants to operate this time or not. So we're going to see if this is all going to work or not, but it looks like it's trying to come up, so hopefully this will work and everything. So it is trying to come up in one form or fashion. So let's see if we can get it going.
Oh, sorry. I've actually got our website.
Oh, you're good.
I actually had our website up, but it plays music. So just in case you're struggling.
Yep. Yeah, you got it up on your side, and you can try to put it on your side, and I can try to bring it up on my end. So either way will work. So seems to not be cooperating on my side.
Music,
so bring it on your side.
There's music playing on our website, so I don't know where the stop button is, so I apologize. I will share the screen quickly.
It's on autoplay. All you have to do is scroll down. I think there's a section that shows you the music. You can pause it, but it's just on autoplay.
I think there's a... No.
What is the web address?
NubianRed.com.
NubianRed.com.
NUBIAN.
Okay. Beautiful.
Here we go.
You see it?
Yep.
I can't find the stop button, unfortunately, so...
Well, you know what the radio station.
So that's what I'll do.
So I think if you slide down, we should be able to get to the part with the music and everything. And if you hit the button that says share audio. And these are some of your shirts. So if you would talk to us a little bit, Nubian, as we're getting to that, about the shirts, because I know the shirts have some very powerful messages on them and everything.
Yes, I actually do graphic designs because I don't know, I just picked it up along the way doing marketing. I just picked up other things. I actually study marketing and advertising at university, but I've never found myself using it per se or getting a job in that regard to say marketing and advertising. I've just been using it in my everyday activities, in my everyday life. So that was one of the things I said, I'm going to try and work on and get better. That one, the first shirt that you're seeing is from a collection called Christopher Combucus. It's a terminology in Jamaica that Christopher Christopher, he came and meet us. He came and saw us. So, we said, Christopher, come back us, because he didn't actually discover anywhere. People were already here. But it's the hilarity of it. So you'll see the Indians and the Arawaks, they're laughing because he said, he's found new land. And they're laughing because it's hilarious how you must find something that somebody's sitting on. And the second shirt is about courage. And, it's one of those inspiration shirts that tell you that you shouldn't leave home without your courage, because every day it's going to be trying. Every day, no matter what, you're going to have a perfect day sometime, but every day it's going to be trying. So don't leave home without courage. Walk with courage. Believe in what you're doing. So you walk, you step out, you have that ability to do what you set your mind to. So that takes courage. The third one, that's the bespoke generation. I think I'm from a generation that wants things done our way. So it's tailor-made. It's for us. We're not trying to fit in the box. We're trying to create our own circle and fit ourselves there. So we're not old school. We're not new school. We're who we are. So, we're bespoke generation. There are other great teas there that talks about serendipity when you're having a really great day. So, you can enjoy wearing that. That's about it. And I think I designed that forever. I don't know what I designed that for, but I think it's probably on one of those shirts. If you go back to the top menu, Mark, you'll see the link for the Out of the Ordinary. You go back to the menu on top, you'll see the Out of the Ordinary right there. So you can learn about Raphael and his story. You can choose to become a sponsor for the show. You can choose to perform at the show. You can donate to the cause, whatever. And to the far right-hand corner, that's all about Raphael. So you can click the links there and find out more about Raphael. We share his story. His story has been in newspapers in Florida, in Toronto, in the Caribbean. There's one UK newspaper that said they'll be publishing, but on radio they're talking about Raphael. So we're getting the publicity. It took us a while, but yeah, we're happy for where we are, and we're happy for the things that are moving, and we're happy for Raphael. Somebody just texted me and asked me, how is Raphael doing? He has a fan club of really great people, and when I tell people he's fine, they don't believe me, because to me he's just always happy go lucky. He's blessed. Despite his challenge, he has a spirit of, I'm just going to be filled with joy every single day, no matter what. So he was challenged outside a while ago. He tried to get across the grass. I saw him trying to get across the grass. So I kind of just went over there to see what he was up to. But he's been moving, despite the challenge of his leg. He's just been trying to get around, do things. There are times when I see him trying to jump, and I say, baby, careful, because, mommy's concerned. But he's so brave. He's so smart. He's so talented. He has a spirit of, I can do this despite anything. So, I'm really happy for that. I'm happy for the spirit that he has. There's lots more he'd like to do. And, this surgery will go a really far way into getting him standing on both legs and running and walking and swimming and jumping, and who knows, his daddy says he has basketball hands, but I'm like, he has also piano fingers, so we never know what he's going to do. So we're just happy for what?
Yeah, he might be a basketball player, or he might be a piano player. He might do both of them. He could be like Wayman Tisdale, who actually played both jazz music and played basketball. So he might be able to pull off both of those, because there have been folks that have done that and had success in both of those. Fitz, I did have a quick question for you based on something that was said earlier and everything, and that is, I'm of the opinion that the teenagers of today are actually probably one of the most open groups that we've got and everything. And you've got teenage kids. So I find them to be very amazingly open in the way that they treat people of different orientations, of different races, of different other things. So I think that this new generation is perhaps one of the most open generations that we've got and everything. That's just my opinion. I was wondering, as the mother of teenage kids, if you would agree with me on that.
I do. And, what's interesting is my parents' generation, they were raised with some ugly old habits. There was racism was a big thing in the 20s, right? In the 40s. And it wasn't just black versus white, but my mom was in New York, and she, the Irish were the mix, and the Italians had a horrible name, and everyone had their own little slanderous name, and it just was what it was. And so when I was a kid, my mom was still throwing out those things. And I was the 8-year-old girl, and I wanted to marry Michael Jackson. And my mom was like, what? But he's black and you're white. And I was like, I don't care. I love him. And so, I grew up just loving people. And so instead of race being an issue with my kids, so I actually have a daughter and a son. She's 17, he's 15. But, and our world is so diverse. We don't have it's just diverse. And so, we never told them there were black people and white people or Chinese people. They were just people. And so Uncle Izzy, who is one of my husband's best friends and mine, he's a tall black male, but she didn't know he was black. He was just Uncle Izzy. And my husband has a tan. He's French and German. I don't know, but he's got brownish tan skin. So my daughter at one point said, Uncle Izzy and Daddy are brown people. And I was like, well, yeah, I guess they are. They both have brown skin. But it was, I think, in the 20s and the 40s, those people, they were taught racism, right? They were taught separation. And then I think my generation came out of that. We just saw different, our entertainers, our neighborhoods were very diverse. So we just grew up being part of, a diverse crew. And now it's funny because my kids, I've taught them, I don't care who people sleep with. I don't care what they dress like. I don't care what they look like. As long as they're nice people and they follow the law and they support themselves to their best ability, that's all that matters, right? It doesn't matter to me if the man across the street wears a dress and sleeps with a guy. Why does that matter to me? I think as long as he's a nice neighbor, it matters. So the other things don't matter. So it's interesting to see my kids. And on occasion, my kids, they're not snowflakes. They're not. However, if you can't even pick on a person, you can't criticize a person on a legitimate platform if they're unique in some sort of way, because they will take your valid criticism of behavior and say, well, that's racist or that's transphobic. And I'm like, wait, no. We're talking about their language or we're talking about their behavior. So it's interesting. They're almost real far on the spectrum. Does that make sense? They've gone the complete opposite of prejudiced, which is good.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I can definitely agree with y'all on that and everything. I definitely could see that being the case and everything. I get ready to wind up the show in about a few minutes. Y'all are all perfectly welcome to join me on the other show, because I've got one that I do 2 of these on this platform. Mullins Music and Memories is the one that I do immediately after this on IBM TV. So get ready to wrap this up and then do the other one. But I will put the link to the other show on the chat part. And if y'all want to join that, you can do that as well. But as we're getting ready to wrap up, I would love to hear everybody's thoughts that they would like to just kind of like a closing thought that they would like to leave with the audience around the world. So it could be a closing thought about anything. So I thought with you, Fitz, if you've got a quick closing thought that you would like to share as we wrap up this particular edition of the radio show with Marc Lee on IBM TV before I get ready to move over to Mullins Music and Memory, since I do crazy things like 3 podcasts on a Monday afternoon. So I don't know what I was doing when I bumped my head and decided to do that.
Well, I'll start by just saying I'm super excited to have 3 new fabulous, interesting, thoughtful friends. You guys are amazing, and this has been a real treat. And everyone listening, I hope you just take good responsibility of your own health. Health matters, and it may not feel like a big deal today, but perhaps a month or a year from now, you may be wishing you had done better. So please watch what you put in your mouth, get some sleep, exercise, be nice. It all goes a long way.
Definitely. Fraser, what would be your final thoughts that you would like to share with folks?
Basically, exercise. Our gyms are closed, so that was frustrating me royally, to say the least. But hence why I bought a 16-kilogram kettlebell, so I could just try and do something to keep myself going. But anyway, by the by, it's been great connecting. Thanks for the spontaneous invite, Mark, and it's great, kind of interesting that we've all kind of got the three, Fitz and Nubian, we've all got something in common via cancer and other stuff as well. So I'd love to have a chat and connect if we can help each other out in some way and kill a few birds with one stone to help promote your book, promote your music, promote your talk show in some way or form, and make an impact somewhere if that helps in any way. A conversation, it takes 5 minutes. I'll have to have a chat afterwards. Just let me know. Yeah, but just to say, thanks again, and let's just keep going forward. And just, as I say, it's
sounds great. What about you, Nubian Red? What kind of thoughts would you like to share with folks?
All right. All my thoughts are just keeping the positive, doing the good, because God is good and good is in God and God is in good. So it's always about staying on the positive path for me. It's hard, but that's the only point of life anyway, because if you focus on all the negative, it will just break you. So build yourself and build it with positives all the time. My battery is about to die, so I just want to say to the folks, thank you so much for supporting me. All the details about the show and what I'm doing is on my website. I see Mark putting it up again, nubianred.com. I'd love to definitely talk to you both, Fraser and Fitz. So, Mark, you have my number. Pass the talk and we'll talk.
Definitely. Yeah. And that's a little bit of Nubian Red's music in the background there and everything. So hopefully everybody can hear it and is enjoying it.
Not so nice. There's a lot to be desired when you make your choice. You don't really care who you hurt, but you best believe it. Karma is a girl. I saw your dream coming, but I couldn't stop it. I know I can tell you how to live your life.
I love it.
I saw your freight train coming, but I couldn't stop it. I'm here to tell you how to live your life. Oh, yeah. It's a mystic world we're living. You can't see the truth. All the things you do will come back to you. You know you think you're smart and you get away. And mama is a bitch, it sure is night and day. I saw your freight train coming, but I couldn't stop it. I know I can tell you how to live your life. I saw your freight train coming, but I couldn't stop it. You get it right. I saw your freight train coming, but I couldn't stop it. No, I would never tell you how to live your life. But the secret's for the life that you riding on your highways, the bread of sorrow, and no more baby cry. I saw your train.
I would never tell you how to live your life. That was Freight Train.
It's beautiful. Well done.
Yep, and that sounds like as that's how it's going. I was thinking to myself, like, wow, that sounds is definitely very appropriate for 2020 because I don't think any of us saw that freight train that was coming down and hit us this particular year or anything along those lines. So it sounds like a very appropriate song for this particular year.
Yes, indeed. Okay, Mark, thank
What
you
did you
so
think
much.
of it as we get ready to wrap up everything? So what did you think of the song?
Fantastic. I'm envious of her talent. I wish I had it.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Definitely. Well, I appreciate all three of y'all for being on. Like I said, I've got to get ready to get on the other show, but y'all are all great and amazing guests, and I look forward to having y'all back on IBM TV in the very near future. Like I said, we are a global network, and we love connecting with positive and wonderful people, and I consider all three of y'all to be that, and I consider y'all to be three of my new friends and everything along those lines. So definitely look forward to seeing y'all, hopefully in person at some point or another, but definitely continuing to see y'all on the various platforms like this on a regular basis. This is actually the second time having Nubian on and the second time with Fraser. It's your first time, Fitz, because Nubian was on one of my audio podcasts and Fraser appeared on one of our other shows here. So definitely I've got to get you on so that you can catch up with them as well.
I got to catch up.
Definitely y'all have been amazing guests.
Happy New Year, everybody. Bye-bye.
Happy New Year. And I'll chat to you guys later.
Love and light, everybody. Love and light.
Thank you.
Yeah, bye. Okay. Take it easy, Mark.